Hello, today I will be interviewing Aaron Bill, who is a graduate of Miami University in 2006. He's also a member of Alpha Sigma Phi. He also went to law school at Catholic University of America, and he is currently the Legislative Director and Counselor at the U.S. House of Representatives. So thank you for taking the time to come speak with me today. So the first question was, it's like, why did you decide to go to Miami? How was your experience at Miami? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Mhm.
My trip to Miami, if you will, started a little later in the college application process. I applied right away. I Miami wasn't my first choice. I wanted to go to Boston College, um, but they waitlisted me. There were, I think, 14 people from my high school, the class ahead of me, that got into BC, and there were two from my class. So I was really kind of frustrated by that. But then, I started looking around, trying to figure out what my best other options were. And I went to visit Miami one weekend with my dad, and it was the worst weather you could have imagined. And it was a terrible tour.
Mhm.
But in the end, when I got in, I realized that the school, the facilities, everything would be the best option for me. Um, Growing up in Cleveland, I got to go as far away in state as I possibly could from Cleveland.
Yep.
Um, and I could not have enjoyed my time at Miami more.
Yeah.
Um, I met a lot of really good people, both in the fraternity and not. Um, and a lot of them live in DC still. I'm still friends with the vast majority of the brothers that um, were initiated with me. So one of them was in my wedding. I was in his wedding. I've been in a couple other brothers' weddings. So we really are super tight, and it means a lot. Um, it means a lot to me to have friendships like that last such a long time.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that close-knit brotherhood. So what made you decide to join that? You wanted to join a fraternity. What made you decide Alpha Sig?
So, background on joining in general, I went to an all male high school in Cleveland. And coming out of high school, having had 4 years of that, joining a fraternity was kind of a small extension of that experience. At least in my mind, it was. So, my freshman year at Miami, I was playing on the lacrosse team and rushing beta. And I thought that I was going to join beta, but my grades were not great because I spent more time focusing on having fun and playing lacrosse than I did schoolwork. So beta politely declined offering me an invitation to join.
Mhm.
So I didn't rush freshman year after that. And then my sophomore year, I was living on North Quad in Han. And one of the guys who lived in, I think it was Flower, near where my then girlfriend lived, was one of the first people to pledge Alpha Sig when we were just like a fledgling little organization.
Mhm.
And he and I became really good friends, and he was telling me about Alpha Sig and how great everybody was. And I got to meet everybody. We didn't even do pledging, and we didn't get our charter until I think it was October of my senior year.
Wow.
So we were just kind of there as you know, a loosely organized, tight knit group, if you
Yeah.
will. And it really came down to I wanted to have the Greek experience because so many people at Miami join a fraternity or sorority, um, and it turned out to be one of the best decisions I made while I was there.
Awesome. Okay, great. So after, or you could start at Miami. So like, because some of the people watching this like won't know like your path to where you are now,
Sure.
could you just kind of tell us like your path, like starting at Miami,
Yeah.
like what you did to get to where you are now?
That is also a weirdly circuitous route. So I started out Miami as a pre-med major.
Wow.
Um, Again, first semester of freshman year didn't go all that well. So I was kind of listless and didn't really know what I wanted to do after that really terrible semester. So I kind of sat down, went through a couple different options, thought about doing business, but I took a couple econ and accounting classes and realized I love math, but I feel like accounting is just fake math, and it really I couldn't wrap my head around it. So I decided, I needed to figure out what I enjoyed doing to try and build my college major and career off of that. So one class that I really enjoyed a lot in high school was AP US government. Um, so I decided to change my major to political science. I finished all of the required credits for my major in about a year and a half, and then just kept taking political science classes. I had some really fantastic professors at Miami who were in the political science department at the time. Um, and after that, I decided to move to DC. I would say kind of on a whim, but being a poli sci major, moving out here and working for Congress is really kind of one of the best things you can possibly do. So I moved out here. I got a job working on the Hill, my first job in September of '06. And it's kind of been all I've done since then. I mean, I went to law school in '08 and was off the Hill for a while because when I graduated from law school was on the kind of uptick from the '08 economic downturn.
Mm-hmm.
So jobs were still hard to come by,
Yeah.
especially for a law student graduating in a city where there are more lawyers per capita than anywhere else in the country.
Yeah.
So I came back to the Hill in 2014 and have been here ever since.
Great. And so for a college student who is considering like graduate law school and then you went to Catholic University of America, what would you say? Would you recommend it? Yeah, just tell us a little bit.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed law school. It was, when I graduated from Miami, I was ready to just be done with school.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to do anything else. I wanted to go get a job. I wanted to work. And within about a year and a half or so, I realized that I just wanted to go back to school. So I was trying to figure out whether I wanted to do an MBA, whether I wanted to go to law school, whether I just wanted to go get a master's in political science. And I settled on law school because I figured that would be something that would give me the best options overall for the future. So I would never tell anybody that they should not consider going to law school. The one thing that I always tell people is if you want to go to law school, you have to be 100% committed to it. Otherwise, it is just a waste of $200,000.
Yeah.
Law school isn't one of those things that you should do if you're just thinking, oh, I just want to go get another degree. I just want to go back to school. It's really expensive. It is a lot of work. And if you aren't committed to it, it really is just a waste of 3 years and a couple $100,000.
Mm-hmm. How did Alpha Sig help with your career path?
With my career path?
Yeah.
Well,
if at all.
one of my, well, I mean, a bit. One of the, I can't remember what his roster number is. It literally might be 2. I can't remember off the top of my head. But Josh Borean, who was the chapter president when I first joined, he and his wife moved to DC after he graduated with me in 2006. They moved to DC uh, at the same time as I did, and he actually started at Catholic in 2008 or in 2006, and he graduated in '09. Um, and then I started 2 years later after having worked for a couple of years. So we actually crossed paths at Catholic for a year, and then when I was done with school and I took the bar in the summer of 2011, and I didn't pass the New York bar, which was brutal. But I took Maryland in February, and at the time, he was the chief counsel for a healthcare IT company based in Rockville.
Mhm.
And I was looking for a job while I was waiting for my bar results, and he wanted somebody to come and help do a project for the company. So he brought me on. So I mean, not only was he a Miami and a Catholic grad, but he was also one of my fraternity brothers, which was kind of great. And you know,
Crazy.
it was nice together.
Yeah. So for brothers now who are in college, what advice would you have for them for their like professional like career development? What things should they be doing right now to be prepared in the future?
Sure. Um, I mean, just honest. It sounds cliche, but like do as much as you can in school to try and get as much as you can out of your education. Network as much as you possibly can. Um, DC and Capitol Hill specifically is kind of a weird place because um, you get jobs up here based on who you know most of the time. And I don't mean to make that sound negative at all. Um, you know, it really does matter what you know, but it also matters who you know. And as long as you can network and make connections with people in a lot of different industries and really show that you add a value to whatever company or organization it is, that's really the biggest thing. Try and get as much practical experience as you can, especially for people who are poli-sci majors. You can learn a lot of theory of how the government is supposed to operate. That's not at all how it actually works. So being able to get real world practical experience is huge, and will actually help you a lot more in the long run, because as much knowledge as you think you have coming out of school, it really
Yeah.
it has very little practical application in the end, unfortunately.
Yeah. So you kind of just talked about this, but like what do you think the key for your career success has been? Was it networking? Was it academic rigor? Was it all of them?
I mean, it's a bit of all of it, but networking is huge. It really is, especially out here. That is truly the biggest thing
Hmm.
that you can do is just making personal connections, working with people, always being accessible. So as a Hill staffer, I'm always trying to find ways that we can work with people bipartisanly. That's really important to me. That's really important to my boss. So it's important to make good connections and really be willing to work with people, um, because that is what will get you ahead in life. You can do a lot on your own, but it's always better to work with others.